Yo, 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 what is good? Third intermission listeners, it's your boy Avry here, wanting to let you know that this week we're airing another pre-taped interview. An interview that Marsha and myself taped last year with the man, the myth, the legend, Kirk St here, but you know him better as the Raptors DJ for Korners. His career in music has taken him around the world, but he has also been witness to some of the coolest moments in Toronto Raptors history. So sit back, relax, as Marsha and myself chat with Kirk about basketball, music, and of course, a little bit of hockey talk. Yo, 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 welcome back to the third intermission. Got a special interview coming at you this week here. It's Avry here and Marsha, and one of the legends of Toronto. It is the legendary Raptors DJ, the man himself, Four Corners. Welcome to the podcast, buddy. How are things on TO?
Thank you for having me. Excited to talk about some sports stuff, some Toronto stuff, some black stuff.
No, of course, not, of course.
Love I gotta to hear it.
Yes, off top, we got to ask you, first of all, the Raptors took down Detroit 142 in the Pistons. What is it like seeing the Raptors now, this young team, seeing this team, they're grinding, they're doing good things with guys like Scotty and Grady. Like, what does it mean like seeing this team working hard and getting some big wins here this season?
It feels good. We had a bit of a rough week this week with 4 home games. Had a heartbreaker on Friday against Boston. But also there's a lot of upsides going on with the team, and I feel like they're gelling well. It's a lot of new guys on the team playing together for the first time. So I feel like the chemistry is starting to come together, and we're seeing, what people are capable of doing, especially a young man by the name of Scotty Barnes, who came into the league as Rookie of the Year, tore it up. And then I feel like it's been an adjustment for him last season in terms of like other teams watching the tape and getting to know his tendencies and understanding his game and what he's doing and making the adjustments. And that was a tough season for him to figure out, well, how do I get past that now that they know what I'm going to do, kind of. And it looks as though this year he's figured a lot of it out. He's looking fantastic. So I'm excited.
No, of course. And it's been fun watching Scotty this year and seeing his development, because I remember people coming out last year saying, "Oh, Scotty's a fraud. He's a fraud. He should have won Rookie of the Year." Look now. They're real quiet now. Aren't they?
No, he had a great rookie season. I don't know who would say that. They're just Toronto haters, I guess. But he had a great rookie season, and what he's doing this season is, if you look at the numbers, they're stacking up to the top players in the league. So there's not really much argument now. Definitely not.
No, of course. And for yourself, Kirk, you're someone who, you go to Raptors game, the environment, it's always a vibe. It's always right, because you have been setting the tone at Raptor games for a very long time. I got to ask you, first of all, off the top, how did you become Raptors DJ? How did the process begin for you going from day one to being a legend in this franchise yourself, man?
Well, I'm in season number 19 now, so I definitely have been doing it for a long time. I helped build the role, essentially, because there wasn't a team DJ before that. There weren't even team DJs in sports outside of DJ Avry in Miami, as far as I knew. I'm sure there may be been a couple other situations, but at the time I only knew Avry. He gave me a few tips and tricks and insider, information as to how he does it and how they put it together in Miami. And I and my DJ partner at the time and the team here really just figured out what would work in this market, how we're going to integrate a live DJ scenario into the game presentation. And we built it from basically nothing to what it is right now. So it's great. I feel really accomplished in what we've built. There are now team DJs in pretty much every team in sports. So it's become commonplace. And I've been able to help mentor a few as well to show them, what it is that we do here and like what the objectives are. It's way different than DJing at a party or a nightclub or even a concert. It's a different situation altogether, and the targets are different. And I feel like I'm as expert as it gets at this point.
I mean, you said it. Trailblazer, if you will.
Absolutely.
The Four Corners Korners Masterclass of Sports DJing. Sounds
No,
like a
for
nice
real.
title.
Absolutely. I've consulted on, other team DJs and just team music integration into I've done a lot outside of the Raptors to help teams get what they get their version of what it is that they see us do at the Raptors.
100%. And you mentioned outside of the Raptors a little bit. So you want to speak a little bit to the balance of DJing for the Raptors, but then also creation of music in your daily life as well.
Oh yeah. I mean, I'm very, very self-aware that there are a lot of people that know me, or their point of entry to hearing my name is through the Raptors. It casts a very large shadow. But I've been doing what I do in music since before I was with the Raptors, a few years before. And since then, I've always done other stuff. And the organization has always been very, very supportive of my outside ventures, because they understand, the more impact I'm making on Earth, the more impactful it is for me to be in Scotiabank Arena. So I've always been DJing. I've been a globally touring DJ for close to 15 years. And I started music production and started releasing my own music in 2019. So that's like 4 years now, going on 5. And it's been fantastic to be able to not only move crowds with just by playing the hottest songs of the time or classics or whatever, to have my own music in that mix. And then now that I'm doing, not just clubs, but concerts, and people are coming to see and hear me perform my songs, it's next level. It's super dope, man. I'm really, really enjoying it. And I can honestly say I'm having the most fun time that I've had in my entire career right now.
All right. It's a 2-part question. So I got to ask you, first part, what's the coolest place in the world you've DJ'd in? And part 2, what's the place you didn't think would be cool, but turned out to be low-key hype? Like, oh, wow, you surprised me.
I would say a lot of people ask me where's the coolest place. It's really hard to say. I'm blessed to be able to say I've DJ'd a lot of really cool places, but my tops, I would say Paris is up there, Tokyo's up there. Mostly when I think of it, it's all places on the other side of the world, to be honest. And my reasoning for that, it's not that things aren't awesome here. It's just like I'm a world traveler. I call myself a global citizen. I enjoy, I'm from Toronto too. I enjoy cultures. I enjoy experiences, and moving around in North America, varying levels of the same thing. You know what I mean? Like if you're from Toronto and you go to New York, you go to LA, you go to Vancouver, Montreal, it's like, yeah, each city is unique and has their own thing, but like they're no way nearly as, there's not a culture shock like there is when you go to Abu Dhabi or to Morocco, or, you know what I mean? Places like that. So I really enjoy the other side of the world when it comes to traveling. And yeah, I would say if I had to answer that question right now, just pick one, I would say Tokyo. Tokyo is insane. It's everything that you think it is and more. Whatever you envision, what do you ever imagine Tokyo to be, multiply that by 100 and it's exactly that.
That's amazing.
What does it mean to see NBA teams dive all into having team DJs? Because we see so many teams have a DJ all over the league.
At this point, it's pretty much a standard thing in most teams. Not all, but most teams. Out of the 30 teams, I think there's like 24 teams that have team DJs at this point. When I started, to my knowledge, there was 2. So it's definitely spread. And then it's way beyond basketball now. There's everything. I've shown some I've given some guidance to a DJ that does volleyball. I've given guidance to, we have the CEBL league in Canada. I've, done a lot of work with them. It's expanded. I'm looking at the Skydome right now, Rogers Center, whatever. We have the Jays have a DJ, my guy Jed Harper. The Leafs have a DJ. Like everything in sports now, the element of having a live DJ who can curate the experience and play the right songs at the right time has become commonplace, whereas before it was just somebody, playing from a list of songs that they have lined up. Now it's from the mind of somebody whose job is to read crowds and, feel emotion and feed into that. So I think it's brilliant.
No, that's amazing. You mentioned you've been there for 19 years. And what has it meant for you to see some of the biggest moments in Raptors history? Of course, playoff series win, and again 2019 run, in which this team won a championship. And we've seen the Raptors. This team is now almost 30 years old, which makes me feel old. Like that team's up there almost 30 seasons now. Like, what has it meant to you to be around for the biggest moments? Like, you know, the Kawhi shots, the playoff run, then to see his team win a championship in a year in which they took down the vaunted Golden State Warriors in 6 games.
Well, you know what? I'm a little bit older than you, so I've seen what it was like before we had a team and after. It is much better after. I was actually at the draft when we drafted Mighty Mouse. Like, I was a kid. I've always been a Raptors fan. The moment I heard we were going to get a team, it was funny. My aunt actually worked for the city at the time, and I got to go to a lot of events, including the draft, and just be in the room for all of these things, and just being so excited about, you know, because I was already a huge basketball fan. I played basketball. I watched basketball. I wore jerseys and like had all the sneakers that I could afford from my little jobs and whatever. And like, I was in the culture. And to see that come here was a huge deal. And then at first it was just, okay, we have a team. Doesn't matter if we win or not. We have a team. We're here. We're in the game. But then after a few years, it's like, all right, cool. Well, we want to see some success though. We want to win. And it was cool to have, you know, Rookie of the Year, Damon Stoudemire right out the gate. But it was really when Vince Carter came, and like that era changed the whole energy of everything. It just made it really exciting, like on a NBA level and on a global level. Like, people were looking at Toronto differently. And to be able to see that up close. And then I joined the team in the Chris Bosh era. So we were still doing okay, but, you know, some good years, some bad years. But then things just started ramping up once we got to DeRozan and Kyle, and then finally the Kawhi trade and the championship run. And it has been, to describe it in one word, it's been a ride. It's definitely been a ride. We've gone from just being happy to be a part of the thing to being, you know, the champions and running the thing. Even though there's still plenty of haters that think that, you know, that championship didn't count or whatever. It's like, nah, I have the ring to prove it. It counted.
There you go. Right? People saying, "Oh, you wouldn't have won if KD didn't tear the Achilles. You wouldn't have won if Clay did that." It's like, but come on, like,
And I
come
was
on.
like, have you ever watched sports before? You ever heard of injuries? It happens. Nobody
Like-
said that. Nobody said that when Kyrie and Kevin Love were injured and Golden State beat LeBron. Nobody said that. They're just like, oh, better team won.
Right? But now the
So-
Raptors win. You got to put an asterisk on it, like,
Right. And then okay, cool. But what about the Sixers and what about the Bucks? Like, we did all that on the way there.
Right? Exactly. You go back in history now. Go back to like when the Spurs won the first time, the lockout. You open the lockout year with asterisk now. Like, come on.
Right.
Like,
Right. Exactly. No, exactly. As time passes and we look back and like all the champions, like none of that matters anymore. A ring's a ring.
No, exactly. Of course, you're being someone who's been very involved in the basketball culture in Canada. You know, as someone who is more in basketball, what does it mean, as I guess, as an outsider to an extent, seeing hockey culture? Because hockey, to an extent, hasn't really been on the cutting edge in terms of diversity, in terms of trying to be inclusive. What do you think your thoughts in general hockey culture? Because in some aspects, it's trying to catch up, but it still feels a little bit behind compared to basketball culture, especially here in Canada.
Well, here's the thing. I think basketball, it's not that hockey's behind. I think that it's just basketball appeals to a lot broader a spectrum of people because of just the nature of the sport, down to simply all you need is a ball and something that you can call a net, right? Whereas hockey, all of my friends, like I grew up in Toronto, I'm Canadian. All of my friends that played hockey, I saw what their hockey bags look like. There's a lot of equipment. Like, that's dedication. You really want to do that. And, you know, speaking for myself, it would have been, I mean, I'm sure my parents would have made it happen if I really, really wanted to play hockey, but it would have been a struggle because it's expensive. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of things that you need in order to do that. So that alone is a barrier, I think, that like keeps a lot of people out of the game. Because like I played street hockey. I had a hockey stick and a lot of tennis balls. So like I was into hockey. I had skates too, and I would go to the rink near my house and like I would play a little bit, but like I never played organized because it took a lot. And to be honest, representation, as I look back, I think representation is a part of that too, because growing up, I didn't see any Black hockey players. It didn't look like a space for me. It wasn't something that I aspired to because I didn't see anybody there that I could see myself in. And I think that's different now. There are several Black hockey players and, you know, brown hockey players, and like there's more diversity now in the leagues. And for that reason, I think that there are a lot more kids growing up looking at that and saying, oh, I can do that too. And it's getting there. But as far as the hockey culture currently, if you're talking Leafs versus Raptors, it is definitely taking big steps, because a gentleman by the name of Anton Wright, who worked with the Raptors when I started, and we kind of built my role in together. He worked his way up in the company, and he's now the head of entertainment for all of Maple Leaf sports and entertainment. So he is the one putting things together for all the teams, including the Leafs. And when he got that job, one of the first things he did was get a DJ. So the Leafs have a DJ. They actually just changed to a new DJ this season. And the new DJ is a guy by the name of Summer Knox, and he's a Black DJ. So there's a Black DJ at the hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs. You know what I mean? I think that that's a big deal, just in the sense of what we're speaking of. The representation of culture in Toronto is being represented in that space. And also one of the hosts is Black as well. So like you're seeing some faces in there now that is not what traditionally you would think of when you think of the NHL. And you know, the music is evolving, and I think it's getting there. I think it's starting to become a little bit more appealing to people outside of just the original demographic, just because more appealing things are being presented as part of the entertainment aspect of it, that, you know, people got to feel like there's a vibe there for them. And I think that that's happening now.
Yeah, you bring up an extremely great point. We're starting to test the waters in Leafs land. New DJ, new goal songs. Just the best way that I can think of putting it is there's more vibes.
Yeah, there are, and that's intentional. That's what I'm saying. That is actually intentional, because the objective is to bring more people in. Like the objective is to bring more people in. I haven't gone to a lot of Leafs games in my lifetime. I've been to a few more recently, but I would always hear, oh man, the Raptors games are so much more fun because the crowd is more into it. There's more vibes. It just, hockey feels more stuffy. It feels like the majority of the tickets are like season ticket holders from companies that just bring clients, and they're not actually fans. And like, I don't know if all of that's true. To be honest, I haven't gone enough to see it. It's fun when I go, but I've only gone in recent times, while the things are changing, and, you know, more vibes are being infused. So to me, the only thing that is like a deterrent for me to not want to go to Leafs games is it's friggin' cold in there, yo. No matter where you sit, it is cold. I thought it would be like, you know, if you're high up, because where the DJ booth is pretty high up. It's not the same place as where my DJ booth is for Raptors games. It's like up in the suite level.
A fan
So
deck?
literally the suite level, like where the upper deck suites are.
Okay, I know that. Yeah.
So I've been up there a few times. There's like, especially with the new DJ, I've like shouted him a couple times to be able to give him some pointers and like help guide him to where he needs to get it. And I'm like way up there, and I'm like, yo, it's freezing up here too. That is not exactly the vibes for me. So if I were to speak to, you know, Black and brown people at large, I'd be like, that might be something to do with why we're not flooding ourselves into Scotiabank Arena on those nights, because it's cold, brethren. But other than that, it's fun. I think it's fun.
Yeah,
Each ticket should come with a complimentary sweater.
Or at least a little scarf, a little toque. Every day is toque day, like. You know what I mean?
Oh man, that's funny. I gotta ask you then. Of course, basketball, hockey, two different games. So if say for example, one game you're tapped, you know, somebody, main DJ can't do a game, you're tapped to DJ a Leafs game. What tracks do you think you would play? Because you know the vibes are different for basketball, hockey. So what would you play for a Leafs game?
I've made it very clear that I do not want to do Leafs games, because not just because it's cold. I'm not gonna lie and say that's not part of it. During the process of, changing DJs, and I actually get this question a fair amount, but in the process of changing DJs, it was kind of hinted towards me. It's like, would you be interested in the Leafs play way too many games between Leafs and Raptors? If I were to do both, just set up a cot for me. I live there now. So I'm not down for that. It's already a large commitment to be there for all of the Raptors home games, and I love it. And I love that I can get my schedule at the beginning of the season, near the end of summer, and map out what I'm going to do for the whole life. But like, I also have, a whole music career happening simultaneously. And like I said, they've always been very, very supportive. Like, I remember the first time I missed a stretch of games was in 2010 when I was DJing at the Vancouver Olympics. And I was nervous about it because I got this huge opportunity. And I was like, but I'm going to have to miss like 8 games, I think it was. And I brought it to them and they were like, dude, you got to go to the Olympics. Don't worry, we'll figure it out. So that's been a blessing. And taking on more is just not an option for me. So I'm more than happy to help. And I was very like hands-on in helping train the new DJ to just like, and he didn't need much training. Like, he's a DJ, he's a solid DJ, but that's just, again, because sports is different than anything else. There's just like some things that are, it's helpful that I already know these things, that I can just be like, yo, this, and this, set it up like this, be mindful of this. This is what you do in these situations. And he's taken that and ran with it. So, yeah, I'm not DJing the Leafs games. But to answer your question, this is a roundabout way of answering your question. It's not even about a specific song. It's energy. This is the number one thing I tell any DJ who's doing sports or looking to get into or has an opportunity. I'm like, the point is energy. And the people that you're focusing on are not the players. Like, yeah, you play music for the players a little bit. And at times, like for me at basketball, specifically the warm-ups is when I play just for the players. But throughout the game, it's really more about getting the crowd pumped up, because if you can get 20,000 people on their feet, the players are going to feel it. You know what I mean? As well as they came and they paid to have a good time. The players are at work. They're professionals. They're going to do what they do, whether they like the songs that are playing or not. They are pros. But people that come for the entertainment and to enjoy themselves, that's the target. So my mark is always to hit them with the energy and make sure that they have a great time. And whether it be Leafs or Raptors, I would still focus on that versus just specific songs.
Fair, yeah, and the energy is very important. You mentioned, not want to do too much more work, because what's one enjoy about Black people? Work 14 jobs. In West Indian, it's like even more jobs. So I hear you.
Well, yeah, I'm Canadian, but I'm Trini, so like,
I hear you. I'm half Trini.
So I grew up having several jobs. I don't want to do that anymore. I've earned the right to be able to just do the things that I want to do, and I love basketball. I don't love hockey like I love basketball. Like, I think hockey is a great sport. Like I said, I played as a kid. Yeah. Pick up and just like, little games at the rink here or there, but mostly with a stick and a tennis ball and maybe 2 jackets on the floor, as the net. Like, that was my hockey growing up. And I used to watch hockey actually as a kid really, really intently. And then we got a basketball team and that was that. So choosing between the two, I would choose basketball for sure.
No, fair enough. I know you mentioned up top, where you're wrapping up here, a couple more questions. You mentioned up top how you saw the rise of CEBL. I worked with CEBL covering the Edmonton Stingers, and the CEBL is a league that's grown and grown and grown. Like, what has it meant from your eyes to see this league get bigger and bigger? Because for a long time, basketball, of course, in Toronto was, the Raptors NBA, but now the CEBL is here, and we've seen, no matter if it's Edmonton, Scarborough, Calgary, the fan support grow and grow. Like, what's it been for your eyes to see the CBL become this massive thing now?
You know what? It's been great. I work with the CBL from the very beginning. I've done the championship weekend every year except this year. This year they did actually, because the league has grown so much and there's now team DJs for every team, they did like a competition amongst the team DJs. They did like an online vote thing, and whoever got the most votes got to be the DJ for championship weekend, which I thought was very cool. But prior to that, I've seen it from, fledgling stages. The first championships were in Saskatoon. It's my first time there. And it was a good choice because Saskatchewan historically only has one professional team, which is their CFL team. And they ride so hard for them. Like, they ride so hard. I remember I went to the Grey Cup. I was DJing the Grey Cup in Montreal one year, years back. And I'm like, they were not in the Grey Cup. Like, they didn't make it to the finals. But why were there so many people with green jerseys on in the city? Just they pulled up because like they just ride. They just really, really ride. So that team, Saskatchewan, that year Saskatchewan actually won the championship. And the arena was full and people went crazy and it was a great time. And since then, every year new teams have been added, which is really, really promising. And then the next thing, which I didn't foresee, is like, well, number one, the level of basketball is very good. Like, it's not like these are not good basketball players, but even to see a few of them find their way into the NBA, like, I think that that's brilliant because there's a lot of players that, maybe don't get drafted and then they will be a walk-on and maybe try to get into a G League team, or maybe they go play in Europe or in Asia or somewhere while they continue to develop. Now you can do that in Canada. You know what I mean? And off rip, like my guy Xavier Moon, who played a few seasons with the CEBL, was the MVP every time he touched the court, and then finds himself on the LA Clippers. So like that happens now, and it's here. So for North American ball players, Canadian ball players specifically, to have dreams of getting to the NBA, maybe don't get drafted, it doesn't work out the way they planned, there's yet another option, but an option here at home versus having to go abroad to be able to continue to play ball professionally, build your skills, and be seen. And you never know what happens.
I know, again, you're more a basketball guy compared to hockey guy.
What is one thing about hockey, if you had the power to change, that would make the game appeal to you a little bit more?
It could be anything.
I would love it if there would be someone who could develop the technology to make the ice cold but the arena warm. That would do it for me. I would be down. I'd be so much more down to go on a regular. I don't want to go and like leave sniffling. Feel me? Like,
I hear you.
But I want to wear my jersey, but I don't want to have to put a hoodie under the jersey or wear a jacket and cover the jersey. I just want to like be able to like, support the team and go have some fun, but also not have to ask for hot chocolate.
Mm-hmm. That is, yeah. And you'd think in our great year of 2023, almost 2024, that the technology would exist for ice to not melt.
There are cars that drive themselves now. But yet ice is still cold. Why?
No, that's great. That's great. I guess one last thing before we end this off today. I just love seeing your energy and that goes into creating music, the manifestation of good vibes within a space, pulling people in with just the right tunes at just the right time. So to end us off, just tell a little bit about your curation process and what goes into that before each game.
Basically the way it goes, before each game, I get the day before the game, I get a script, and that outlines all of the specific things that are happening during the timeouts that are essentially commercials, like brand activation contests and giveaways and stuff like that. And sometimes those things have a specific song. Like, for example, we have this Subway activation that's like a spinner, and it spins around, and whatever section it lands on, everybody in that section gets free subs. And I play, you spin me right around, baby, right around, because it makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Corny, exactly. but it's like, it's on the nose, but it works. So there's things like that. Other than that, I have free reign to basically just curate it the way that I see best. And I have my music all organized in such a way that I have playlists in, like, I call them crates, as in like record crates, but they're digital, where I have just music for different circumstances. So like I have one called, Raptors hype. So like if there's a hype moment, I can jump in there. If I can't think of a song off the top of my head, I can jump in there. There's a list of songs that I continuously add to that I can throw in at that moment, or, you know, different things like that. But one thing that I've been recently way more intentional of, well, first thing, one that I've always been intentional of is playing music from Toronto artists, because I want what we do here to represent the city. And then that expanded to Canadian artists, and I really have a soft place in my heart for like emerging artists and, you know, independent, not signed to major label artists, just to give them opportunity, because it's a bigger deal for me to play a song from an unsigned emerging artist than it is for me to play a Drake song. Drake hears his music everywhere. It's not a big deal. But these artists, it's like, wow, my song was played in that room. Like, that's a huge deal for them. And I love to be able to provide that opportunity. But in recent years, I've been more intentional in, you know, and this has come as a part of me making music, because the music I make is very, very diverse culturally. And with that, I've been like, yo, what if I started infusing more music from like the African diaspora and from, like, you know, Brazil and, you know, Latin America and stuff like that. So I've been doing that a lot and making a point of it by posting a lot of it on my TikTok. Specifically, when I play African music and Caribbean music, it goes off, because again, these are spaces that, you know, yes, Afrobeats as an example is a really growing genre, and it's, you know, crossing over and whatnot, as is, you know, reggaeton has already crossed over and all that. But still, a lot of these artists that are huge artists that are playing, you know, stadiums and arenas around the world, their music doesn't reach North America in this way. It's not mainstream over here. It doesn't get recognition in these kinds of rooms. And, you know, especially the ones that are not like the biggest artists. So as an example, if I'm playing Afrobeats, if I play Burna Boy, yeah, Burna Boy is super popular. Everybody knows Burna Boy. If I play Rema, everybody knows Rema. At least the one song, Calm Down, everybody knows that. It's cool. But when I play music from, like, you know, Ashake or Stonebwoy, or, you know what I mean, Shatawale, or like all these other artists, and then even when I go deeper and go not just West Africa, because that's what's, you know, kind of crossing over, there's South Africa, there's a lot of East African artists, and I'm like putting it out there on my socials and getting all these suggestions and requests. Now I'm infusing all of that into it. I'm getting messages directly from the artists saying thank you, and now they're sending me their new music, and I love being able to be the plug for that, to be able to get, you know, shine a light on our music in spaces where we are normally not represented. So that's this is pretty much what I've taken to as far as my curation. I set up every game with the script, and then I'll also make a little folder of what songs might I want to play today that, you know, I'm probably the only one playing in any stadium anywhere.
That's a great answer. I love that you want to give the shine to artists and give them. I love that, Kirk. So before I let you go, I want to ask you, of course, everybody's on social. So if you're tied down to plug, where can people find Four Corners on
X, Instagram, whatever app you're on?
Did you say X? You're the first person I've ever heard refer to it as X.
Really, it's still Twitter. It's Twitter.
It's Twitter forever, it's just like it's the Sky Dome forever.
Exactly.
It's Twitter. But yeah, I'm at Four Corners, number 4 Corners with a K on most things. On TikTok, I'm official Four Corners. But what I would say is just go to my website, fourcorners.com. Everything is there.